Starting off this countdown, we have the Adidas shoes. Now, this is a famous case of supposed time travel. A couple of years ago, an ancient mummy was unearthed in Mongolia. Nothing was too off about the mummy, besides the fact that she wore shoes that looked like Adidas trainers. The shoes had red and black stripes on it. I personally don't see the resemblance with the shoes, but others are convinced that this body belongs to a time traveler. Upon analyzing the body further, they found that it belonged to a woman who died from a blow to the head. It's theorized that this woman may have indeed have been a time traveler and was killed after her identity was leaked. What else could explain the fact that this woman was found wearing Adidas? Just a little tip, if you're going time traveling, don't wear Nike or Adidas. Moving on to number 9, we have The Fight. A video of Mike Tyson's fight from 1995 went viral online for containing supposed proof of a time traveler. In the background of the video, you can see a man who appears to be recording or taking photos of the fight on an iPhone or another modern camera phone. The fight was in 1995 and camera phones were not sold until the 2000s. As a result, many people are convinced that the man in the audience is a time traveler, who I guess is a fan of Mike Tyson. What also tripped people out is the fact that the main cameras used in the 90s were the ones with the lenses in the middle. This camera is clearly lacking that. However, others believe that the man is not a time traveler and in fact was just taking a photo on a camera known as the Casio QV10A. Even though it's been potentially debunked, there are people out there that don't believe it for a second. In our 8th spot, we have the Mohawk Man. It's like, where's Waldo with these photos? Except you're looking for the person that doesn't belong. So this next image is apparently from 1905 and shows workers and a banana boat delivering goods. However, near the boat there appears to be someone standing there in a white t-shirt rocking a Mohawk style haircut, which is a very unusual haircut for that time period. The men in the photo are wearing suits and top hats and have fancy mustaches and look well dressed, whereas he's there in a plain t-shirt. Due to the fact that he looks out of place, people have pegged him as a time traveler. He kind of reminds me of Robert De Niro from Taxi Driver though. In our 7th spot, we have the Hipster, another very popular photo that has been circulating online. So the photo contains a crowd of people in the 1940s at the reopening ceremony for the South Fork Bridge in British Columbia. Well, in this photo, everyone seems to be dressed up besides the man on the right hand side of the photo. Everyone else is in suits and top hats, and this tall man seems to be very out of place dressed like a hipster, hence why he was given that name. He can be seen sporting funky sunglasses, a graphic t-shirt, and of course is carrying a camera. Now, some believe that he is indeed a time traveler, whereas others have tried to debunk it. They claim that all the items he is seen wearing were available back in 1941 when the photo was taken. Either way, he looks pretty out of place. In our 6th spot, we have Greta Thunberg. I'm sure all of you have heard about Greta Thunberg, the young Swedish activist who is spreading the word about climate change. Well, there's a theory out there that Greta is actually a time traveler. This theory came to life after a photo of 3 children was uploaded to the internet. These children appeared to be at a gold mine on Dominion Creek in the Yukon. However, the one girl looks identical to Greta and is even wearing the same braided hairstyle. As a result, people believe that Greta is a time traveler sent from the future to save humanity before we completely destroy it. And then apparently she traveled back to 1898 to the Yukon before coming to the present moment. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the fence legend. So this one is more of a legend, but either way it makes for a good time traveling story. So legend goes that there was a 30-year-old man named Rudolph Fentz who was hit and injured by a New York taxi in the 1950s. His pockets contained a copper token for beer, a bill for the care of a horse, and a letter from 1876 among other unusual items. Turns out that this man was a person who disappeared in 1876 at the age of 29. Like I mentioned before, this is apparently a legend that originated from a 1951 short story book. But others believe that this is actually a cover-up, and that Rudolph Fentz was a real man who was a time traveler. Making our way down the list at number 4, we have the beach time traveler. What's something you would do if you could time travel? Maybe stop a tragedy from happening, save someone's life, or just chill at the beach getting some rays. Because That last one is exactly what this time traveler did. A photo from September 1943 apparently shows British factory workers enjoying their break on the beach during the midst of wartime. Everyone is seen wearing bathing suits that fit the era. But right in the middle of the photo is a man in a brown suit, who honestly looks like Mr. Bean. This dude is also checking something that looks like a phone. Some even say that he's checking his time travel device. People were really weirded out about this man because he sticks out like a sore thumb. As a result, he has been deemed a time traveler. Coming in our third spot, we have the film extra. In this next situation, a woman time traveled to be an extra in a Charlie Chaplin film. Or so it appears that way. In the 1928 film, a woman who appears to be taking a phone call can be seen crossing the screen. The video was in the behind the scenes footage from Chaplin's film, The Circus. The woman is in a long black coat and is holding something to her ear, which she is speaking into. Of course, in 1928 there were no cell phones, so how is this possible? 2 words: time travel. However, others believe that she is simply holding a hearing device to her ear, or that she's holding up her hand to shield her eyes from the sun. But that still doesn't explain why she appears to be talking to herself and holding the black rectangular object like a cell phone. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this one. In our second spot, we have the Canadian man. Now, this photo is pretty odd. The photo is over 100 years old and shows a bunch of dressed up Canadians chilling on a hill. Another Canadian time traveler. At first glance, everything appears to be normal, until you take a closer look. On the left side of the photo, there's a man on the hill that seems out of place. I mean, the men are dressed up in top hats and suits, and he's just chilling there in a t-shirt and shorts. In fact, the 2 men beside him are giving him a look like, who's this guy? As a result, people have referred to him as the surfing time traveler. Like seriously, he seems so out of place. But also, why would you choose that as your time traveling outfit? Like I'd pick something cool, like a leather jacket, you know, look all cool and edgy. And in our number 1 spot, we have the cell phone. Another time traveler caught using a cell phone. So if you're gonna go back in time, don't bring your phone. A film from 1938 shows a woman talking on a device that looks just like a cell phone. Again, how is that possible when the first mobile phone wasn't available to buy until around the 80s? After this video made headlines, a YouTube user came forward claiming that the lady in the video was her great-grandmother. She apparently asked her grandmother, whose name is Gertrude Smith, about the video, and she said that she really was using a cell phone. Apparently, the phones were a prototype developed by a communications factory in Massachusetts. Gertrude and 5 other women were given the phones to test out for a week. But it's still hard to believe that this company was way ahead of the times. When mobile phones were ready, they were big, not the small ones that fit comfortably in your hand as seen in the video. So it really does make us wonder, what's real and what's not? Honestly, it seems hard to believe, and Gertrude Smith seems like a made-up name. And it was never even confirmed if what this user said was true. So it may just be that time travel is real and Gertrude was not too sly and got caught in action. Starting off this countdown, we have the World Cup. During the 1962 FIFA World Cup, somebody captured a photo of the Brazilian team celebrating as they lift their trophy. But the photo captured more than just that. Towards the bottom of the photo, there's a man who appears to be taking a picture using a flip-style cell phone. Obviously, flip phones weren't a thing back then, so this has led people to believe that this guy is a time traveler, and obviously a fan of soccer. As a soccer player, I respect that. Now, it's quite weird that this time traveler would have a flip phone with them. Like, out of all devices, they chose to bring a flip phone back in time with them. On the other hand, people believe that the phone is actually just a film camera held at a weird angle, but who knows? In our 9th spot, we have Nicolas Cage. Okay, some of you may know this, I know the true fans will, but I love Nicolas Cage. National Treasures, great movie, don't come at me. Well, Nicolas Cage is theorized to be a time traveler. That's right. He's the face of a meme, an actor, America's national treasure, and even a time traveler. What a great thing to be able to write on your resume. There's a photo of a man from the 19th century that looks pretty identical to this Academy Award winning actor. The photo was taken in 1870 and features a Tennessee man dressed in a snazzy outfit. The photo was found in the back of an album of death portraits. And this photo could be yours for $1 million. Seriously, that's how much it's listed for. But anyways, this photo might just prove that Nick Cage is a time traveler. In our 8th spot, we have the brass bell. In 1944, a 10-year-old boy by the name of Newton Anderson was shoveling coal into his furnace at his home when a piece of coal was dropped and broke in half. Inside the coal revealed a mysterious bell. Keep in mind that the coal was found to be 300 million years old. Back then, the dominant life form on Earth were insects. Not only that, but studies on the bell revealed that it was handmade. So it's physically impossible for a bell like that to have been manufactured back then. So this has led people to believe that a time traveler went back in time to that time period and dropped their bell while doing so. But who the heck carries a bell with them when they're going back in time? Like, that's not something that would be in my suitcase. Now, of course, people were skeptical. They thought that the boy lied and didn't find the bell in the coal. But he underwent a polygraph test conducted by a specialist who worked on death row cases. It was discovered that he was indeed telling the truth. So now the question is, who was the time traveler that dropped this on their mission? And what is the significance behind the bell? Moving on to number 7, we have the toothed wheel. A Russian man was using coal to heat his home when he realized something odd sticking out of it. Researchers stated that it looked like a toothed wheel. Testing of this object revealed that it was 98% aluminum and 2% magnesium. What's weird is humans didn't learn to make aluminum until 1825. But this coal piece is 300 million years old. And the tooth object appears to be artificially made. Again, how did a man-made object find its way in a 300 million year old piece of coal? Not only that, but the object resembles parts that are used in things like microscopes or electronic devices. Or maybe time machines. It could be that a time traveler went back to that time period and then a piece broke off of his time traveling device or something. In our 6th spot, we have the skater boy. Skateboarding was an activity that became increasingly popular during the mid-70s. But here's the thing. There's a photo of a well-dressed man boarding through New York's Central Park. The photo was taken back in the 1960s, when very few people were out skateboarding. In fact, it was very rare to see people skateboarding before the 70s because it was not a popular activity at all. And even when it did become popular, it took years before it was embraced as a real sport. So then, who is this man in a suit that is riding a board? He looks super out of place. This has led people to believe that he is a time traveler from the future that clearly likes skateboarding as his method of transportation. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with John Titor. John Titor is a supposed time traveler from the year 2036 on a military mission. He first made his appearance on the internet in the 2000s on online forums. He would post about predictions or share stories from the future. The reason for him traveling back in time is so that he can get an IBM 5100, which apparently had a secret function that could translate anything to any language. I have no clue why he needed it, but he did. On the forums, John also posted grainy photos of the time machine and of the military logo from the future. In 2001, John disappeared from online and was never heard from again. So some people believe that he is a real time traveler. Maybe he made it back home, or maybe something else happened to him. In our 4th spot, we have Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci was a painter, sculptor, inventor, engineer, and architect during the Renaissance. However, he's probably most famous for his painting, the Mona Lisa. Well, believe it or not, but da Vinci is thought to be a time traveler. Hear me out, okay? Leonardo da Vinci was often considered way ahead of his time. While maybe this is quite literally, since he's thought to have come from the future. One theory is that he went back in time to steal others' accomplishments or to help advance the world. This dude was a genius. He knew more things than anyone else did in that time period. For example, Da Vinci drew pictures of a helicopter in 1493. That's around 450 years before an actual helicopter was created. But not only that, he had the idea for an armored fighting vehicle, aka tanks. And he also invented the idea of a submarine. He talked about ships that could travel underwater and even sketched designs of them. So Da Vinci somehow came up with all of these modern day inventions and more. How? Because he's a time traveler. Making our way down the list at number 3, we have the self-proclaimed traveler. Over the years, a number of people have come forward claiming that they are time travelers from the future, which is the case for this next man. A couple of years ago, an older Greek man came forward saying that he traveled in time to the year 3207. Of course, during his interview, he had his identity hidden for safety reasons. His face was blurred out and his voice was distorted. Now, he claims that he was shot forward in time and spent 2 days in the year 3207 as part of a top secret military program. He claims that in the future the buildings were massive, triple the size that they are today. He also says that there were flying cars and that there was strange colored grass. It wasn't green, but he said it was a deep purple. And lastly, he says that aliens, humans, big animals, and robots all were walking together down the street. And that seems like a pretty crazy future. And why is the grass purple? Like, what kind of environmental mutation happened there? I don't even want to know. Coming in at number 2, we have Paul Dinick. In 1921, a man named Paul Dinick, a Swiss-Australian teacher, slipped into a coma for about a year. For that year, he claimed that he went to the year 3096, where he switched consciousness with a man named Andrew Northman. 1 minute, he was in a coma. Next, he's inside Andrew's body speaking a foreign language. For that year, he was living as Andrew. Friends of Andrew even noticed his personality changed. Paul was so scared to tell anyone of his experience, so he wrote it in his diary and kept it a secret. However, just before he passed away, he gave his diary to one of his students to translate. And that's when it was revealed that he had somehow time traveled to the future. And in our number 1 spot, we have Donald Trump. This has to be one of the creepiest theories out there. So, theory goes that Donald Trump and his son Barron Trump are both time travelers from the future. Theory goes that Trump traveled back in time to become the ruler of America. Now, here's the thing. These theories arise after someone discovered 2 books on the Office of Congress Library website. The books are called Barron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey and 1900 or The Last President. Both were written in the 1890s by Ingersoll Lockwood. The book Barron Trump is about a young boy who finds a secret portal and time travels. Both books have eerie connections to Donald Trump and his family. First off, the book is called Barron Trump, and Barron Trump is the name of Donald Trump's son. There are way more freaky coincidences though, like how at one point in the book he was guided by a man named Don, aka Donald Trump. And then in the book The Last President, it's about an unlikely presidential candidate that won the election. Sound familiar? Even freakier, the book talks about the Fifth Avenue Hotel, and the address of the hotel in the book is the exact address where Trump's tower currently stands. Hold on, it gets creepier. In the book, there is a character named Laugh Pence, who is the Secretary of Agriculture. Come on, like hello, the Vice President's name is Mike Pence. There's just too many similarities between the books and Donald Trump's life, so people believe that this book was actually written about Trump and his family.
Starting us off at number 10 is the underwater city. Last year, a man choosing to identify as Edward came out and said he was part of a top secret experiment that took place in 2004 in LA, which allowed him to somehow be able to travel through time. He said during the experiment he traveled 3,000 years into the future and found himself in an unrecognizable city, or so he thought. He said he was stood stood on a huge wooden platform, but it wasn't just him. Everything was made of wood. The buildings, the houses, absolutely everything. When he looked around more clearly, he realized he was still in LA but underwater. Edward claims that humans become forced to live underwater after all the ice caps melted due to global warming. Well, nearly 70% of the Earth's water is locked in ice caps and glaciers, so if all that melted, it is plausible. But what's not plausible is humans as a species evolving to survive underwater in the short span of 3,000 years. Either way, he also had photographic evidence of this underwater LA in the video, which I mean, is it Photoshop? Is it not? I don't really know. Coming in at number 9 is the radio announcer. So this one is a bit of Inception because this one took place in 1945, which is now the past, but the man speaking was from the future, but the future he's talking about is technically our present. But anyway, back in 1945, a British radio host garnered a lot of attention when he made predictions for the next 100 years. So he predicted life till 2045, and since we're in 2019 right now, we now know that a lot of his predictions actually came true. So much so that many believe his predictions were only this accurate because he was either from the future or someone he knew was. Here are his predictions. Man will set foot on celestial bodies like the moon and Mars. Half correct. Big companies will no longer have a monopoly on news and entertainment, and people will be able to access it anywhere. 100% correct. TV sets will get smaller and smaller to the point they can fit on our wristwatches. I mean, we can watch shows on our phones but not our watches yet, so I guess half accurate. He also said cameras will be at every street corner for safety, but it'll soon diminish our freedom, which I'd say is 100% accurate. He also made some other predictions that haven't come true yet, but I mean, we still have 26 years to make them happen, so here's to hoping. At number 8 we have harmonious living. Back in 2017, an anonymous Greek man claimed he was sent to the year 3207 as part of a top secret Greek military experiment. He asked more about the experiment, but his question was denied and he was told no one was allowed to ask any questions. That's usually how these things go. He accepted their proposal because he was promised a better job afterwards and $100,000, yet when he realized the gadget they were going to use had only been used in theory, he tried to back out, and they wouldn't let him. They said he had 11 minutes to be in 3207 or he'd get arrested. When he woke up in the future, he said the buildings he saw were gigantic. He described it as 5 or 6 Empire State Buildings on top of each other. Cars were flying, grass wasn't green, it was a deep purple color, but the strangest thing was the people. He saw humans walking with aliens, walking with massive animals, humans that had unnatural looking skin, robots, and everyone was just living harmoniously. He even saw a family of aliens play with a huge dog in their garden, and I know it's hard to believe, as does this man. He was like, I could barely believe it myself, so I don't expect you guys to believe it either. He said there were massive generators surrounded by neon blue light, and he figured that they were energy producing because all the flying cars were surrounded by the same light. See, this is the kind of future I can get behind. Filling our number 7 slot are better decisions. So Apex TV uploaded a video back in 2017 featuring a man claiming to have come from the year 2250. The man said he was born in 2215, and in 2250 he traveled back to the year 2017 to help us make better decisions for a better future. See, I told you this list was a mixed bag. But he says by 2050 there'll be a massive global food shortage because of overpopulation, which I totally believe. It's completely plausible. By 2098 he says rising sea levels will displace millions of people because of the overpopulation and less land available to live on, and he recommends self-sustaining underwater cities as a solution, which actually is in line with what Edward said earlier. He says by 2168 microbial life will be confirmed to exist on Saturn's moon Titan, and that no, we are definitely not alone in the universe. He says the reason we never make much contact is because these alien civilizations usually wipe themselves out before becoming too advanced. One good thing is that by 2250 he says that the life expectancy is 120 years old, and then goes on to say we can do better than that. See, I like an optimistic time traveler. Now at number 6 is the Park Man, and I titled it Park Man because this is literally a guy in a park telling his story and I have no other information about his identity. He goes on to share that back in 2004 he was sent to the year 2100. At that point he said time travel into the future was developed, but they had not yet figured out how to time travel into the past. Like many people on this list, the first thing he warned us about was the imminent doom that will be caused by global warming if we don't switch to clean sustainable energy as quickly as possible. He then went on to say by 2100 we have multiple bases on Mars, which is really promising to hear. He warns us against overpopulation just like the previous men did, but to combat this many people are being sent to live on different planets. He named Mars as one of them but didn't name the others as a precautionary measure as to not drastically affect the future. He said him as well as many other time travelers are in danger every time they speak out because people in the future have ways to eliminate all of them. They have ways of wiping them out completely as if they never even existed. He goes on to add that technology becomes so advanced to the point it's actually scary, and the second imminent threat to us after global warming is artificial intelligence. Go figure. AI in 2100 is smarter than any of us even dreamed to ever be, and it's so funny because even saying all this, leaders of the world are still barely doing anything to battle climate change, so against AI we really just don't stand a chance. Coming in at number 5 is the alien. A man or being named James Oliver insists he's an alien stuck on Earth and that he has no idea how long he'll be here for. He claims he's an alien time traveler from a different planet who's sent on a mission in the year 6491, but due to the super blue blood moon interrupting transmission on a ship, he became stranded on Earth. When asked where he came from, he doesn't name the planet but says it's further away from the sun than the Earth, so their years are a lot longer than ours. The only information he gave us was saying that the Yellowstone supervolcano is going to erupt very soon and devastate the whole of America. He says the amount of ash it will throw into the atmosphere will turn the world upside down. Our transportation mechanisms just won't be able to handle that much ash, so both our planes and cars would just cease to work. I have no idea what would happen if transportation became that hindered, like I can't even imagine it. But also, that was his only take on the future, and honestly, even I could have told you about the dangers of Yellowstone. Anyone who knows anything about physical geography could have told you that, so I don't know if I believe you, Mr. Oliver. At number 4 is Noah. I feel like Noah is probably the most well-known time traveler of this time. I feel like I've heard about him so many times, it's just not even funny. I saw the first video he was on Apex TV where he was very visibly disturbed whilst telling us about what was about to happen to us in the next few decades. And last year he came out with even more information, so thank you, Noah. Noah claims his present time is the year 2030, but he came back in time to warn us about the future, which all these people seem to be doing. He goes on to say he's actually 50 years old but took an age rejuvenating drug to turn him into a 25-year-old. He goes on to say he risks his life every time he tells us about the future, but still continues to do so. Our modern superhero. And these are some of his predictions. Trump will be re-elected, robots will run our houses, humans fly to Mars in 2028, the same year time travel becomes public. He said in 2030 the granddaughter of Martin Luther King Jr. will become president even though she'll only be 21 at the time. And the law is that the president must be 35 or older, but a new law gets passed, hence she's able to become president. Many were skeptical of Noah's claims, so he actually took a lie detector test and was asked questions about all his predictions, as well as things like, are you an actual time traveler from the year 2030? And every single thing came up as true. Either way, none of these years are that far away, so we'll soon find out if he was telling the truth or not. Filling our number 3 slot is Bella. YouTube channel Apex TV uploaded a video of a girl dubbed Bella who claims she met a Belarusian physicist who cracked the secret to time travel, which is not an easy feat to accomplish. She said in the time machine she felt a sharp voltage in her body, everything then went black, and when she regained her vision, she saw anarchy. He sent her to the year 3800 and what she saw were corpses upon corpses, ruined buildings, and robots causing the destruction. She even holds up a picture in the video that she captured while in the future. According to her, the blurry image shows a flying destroyed robot shooting lasers in front of some futuristic looking structures. Bella even claims she ran into one of these robots. She said he had facial expressions, gestures. I want you to imagine a metal man, incredibly strong without the feeling of pity. Say no more, Bella. Say no more. Literally, because I already know who would win between me and that metal man, and I can assure you it would definitely not be me. Now at number 2 is 2118. In Feb of last year, a man named Alexander Smith came onto the Kyle and Jackie O show saying he was sent on a mission to the year 2118 when it was 1981. Alex claims he was part of a secret CIA mission which was so confidential he couldn't even tell his own wife where he was going or the fact he was going at all. He just had to go completely MIA. He said he woke up in a hospital bed because he was found on the side of the road passed out. Everyone was asking why he was dressed so weirdly because in that time everyone only wears white, which is really weird, I feel. The coolest thing to him was the fact that all roads were just massive sidewalks because all cars were flying in the air. He added that we can plug music directly into our brains with wires, and it's a type of music we can't even imagine. In terms of humans, he said he saw a woman walking with a man with no legs, so I think it's safe to say cyborg-human relationships will become totally common. He also said aliens visit us here and there, but don't tell us, and said we already made contact with them ages ago, as in right now. On the bad side, he goes on to say the greatest threat to humanity is global warming. Do you hear that, Trump? global warming. And finally, at number 1 is perfection. A man claiming he's from the year 3000 tells us about a life that frankly seems too good to be true. He says by the year 2500, most human minds would have been reverse engineered and uploaded to a new digital reality, and so we all exist in a simulated environment. And these environments start off quite fake looking, but eventually get so realistic they're better than real life. So it's kind of like the first few simulations are like the graphics of a PS1 game, but by the end, as they get better, it's like the graphics of a PS4, that HD. He adds that in these environments there's no pain, there's no disease, there's nothing in there that you don't want in there. By 2600, nearly every shred of information is online, and giant computers take up most of the space on Earth. Real physical people still exist, but at a certain point they upload their consciousness, they can still move around in real life through robots. I don't know how that works, but I mean, I'm on board. And those robots also made superhuman abilities possible and available to everyone, e.g. me.